All right then, welcome back. Still Breakfast Central on News Central. Don't forget, we are on the social media space. You're going to catch us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Yes, indeed, LinkedIn too, and WhatsApp. Our Twitter handle is quite uniform there. You can see it. NC's Breakfast Central, that's the hashtag you use actually. And also go to the website, newscentral.africa. All right, well then, we know that at a global level, radio remains the most widely consumed medium. Whether talking about Western countries, African countries, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, almost a century old. It's a powerful platform for celebrating humanity and all its diversity. Its unique ability to reach the widest audience means radio can shape a society's understanding and capacity to embrace diversity, as well as stand as a channel through which all voices can be well represented and heard. Now, as we celebrate today, which is World Radio Day in the studio, as we have a very well-known presenter and producer, one who's been in the industry for decades, the Genie of Smooth FM 98.1. Quite an honor to have you, sir.
It's a pleasure as well.
Morning, welcome to Breakfast Central. I'm doing great, and I have to say, you're looking great, Genie.
Well, you got to look the part. It's
World Radio Day. Yes. Good thing you're not on air for now. We'll perhaps later. So let's get you onto TV and you just shake it up.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
First of all, when did it all start for you, radio? When did you realize that this little box thing that brings out the sound, this is where I want to be?
Well, I got to say it started when I was pretty young. My late father then used to do a lot of traveling. And he used to record a lot of radio shows in London. And when he came back, he used to play them in the old cassette tape recorders or the one in his car. So I was always fascinated by the voices I heard and the way they sounded and what they were saying and everything and how they presented themselves to the listeners. And that was where it started to grow, and I used to steal some of his tapes and play them, And then afterwards, I was in school. I was at the University of Jos, and a good friend of mine who passed away quite a few years ago now. I'm sure those of you who used to watch the soap opera called Behind the Clouds remember Nosar and
Okay.
He then said to me, said, you know what? I think you've got the voice for radio. And they were about to start a radio station in Jos at the time, and said, I'll take you to the program director and we can see how things go from there. So I went. There was an audition for about 3,000 people.
Even in Jos?
In Jos.
And what year was this?
This was around 1989.
3,000?
Yes.
Wow. So give us a perspective. Yeah.
And so I felt, people came with record boxes and stuff. And I was like, wow, I don't think I stand a chance because I came empty-handed. And I met the program director and she said, no, all we just want to hear is your voice. So. And I spoke and I did what I had to do and I left. And later on, they called 13 people. I was lucky number 13.
Wow.
And that was in 1989.
That was 1989. And
yes.
So you've been in radio for 3 decades, 30 years now. How would you say the journey has been?
It has been, initially it's been great. I think radio has lost its shine right now.
Why would you say that?
I think, a lot of, today they call them OAPs. I don't want to be called an OAP. I'd rather be called a radio host. Okay. They tend to be more interested in the celebrity aspect of radio. They just want to be famous and they don't want to shift into work. Let the work speak for you and let people say, oh, this person is good. Not the celebrity red carpet thing. That's something I shy away from. You hardly see me on the red carpet.
But you have to say, it's interesting because way back in 1999 when you started, there were very few radio stations. We're talking about the late 80s. There was still...
most of them were government-owned.
Government-owned and very regional. Very regional, language-based programming would have, local language-based programming would have been important. Unlike what we have from the late 90s to the 2000s, and you look at a city like Lagos, it is everywhere. The dial,
I think we have about 30 now.
Yeah, the dial is everywhere. So many might say, well, we've come a long way in Nigeria.
Yes, in terms of proliferation of radio, yes, we have. We have, but I'm just saying in terms of the quality of the presenters we have. People seem to be thrown into the deep end when it comes to radio. And then a lot of the owners are not media people or broadcasters. So I think that
But you know, this theme, the theme of this year's, you know, World Radio Day is radio and diversity,
Yes.
basically. So in terms of the wideness of the coverage of topical and non-topical issues within Nigeria and Africa, radio diversity. And if I understand what diversity means, you know, it's multifaceted, you know,
Yes,
multilingual,
absolutely.
multicultural,
Yes.
giving as many voices as, you know, for a people or a region, no matter where they're from. Do you think we're really hitting that notch?
When it comes to topical issues, I don't think we're hitting as much as we should. I think a lot of people shy away from actually, you know, engaging topical issues head on because they don't want to step on people's toes. And these are issues that actually are relevant to society, that people need to talk about. And it's not being talked about as much as they should. And I think people should just, you know, you're a broadcaster, do the job, stand for what you stand for, which is the profession. And then, of course, you know, we'll have more of that. But at the moment, people are shying away from that.
Yeah, but it also has to go, because the essence of radio, because I'm not an authority, I don't think I'm an authority. I've been in radio for almost 10 years, even before, while still doing a TV on the side. You cannot really talk about radio without bringing the word diversity, because whether you're doing local language radio, community radio in Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, or English, you know, or Pidgin, it's all about the people, giving them that voice.
Yes,
you know?
I mean, there are stations that do the multilingual. They take into cognizance all the different languages, Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo, right? And they're the most listened to radio station in Lagos. There are other stations that are into Pidgin. I tend to have an issue with Pidgin English. I think Pidgin is a means of communication, but I don't think it's a language. I mean, Yoruba is a language, Hausa is a language.
We don't have. Well, it's like your patois or your Creole.
It's still. I don't know. I think it's just me. Maybe some people might not share my sentiments, but that's the way I see it. And if a radio station says, "Oh, what we are going to do is to broadcast in the 3 major local languages," and they don't, and it's Pidgin, then I have an issue with that as well.
We know that radio, we call it the blind man's medium.
My favorite medium, because people don't get to see what I look like, but now they are.
From the early days of, you know, when radio came out, to signals, to, you know, world wars, you know, to allied movements,
and you know, transmitters and walkie-talkies. There's some form of radio.
And to the days of Rwanda, 1994.
Yes.
Radio has been a tool for both good and
bad.
evil.
You disseminate the good information or false information, like.
We've seen the bad side where you can
fake news.
You know, rallying call, you know, for genocide.
Yes.
You know, and hate speech and strife. Throughout history, the medium has been used for you know, beyond what we say is entertain, educate, and what's the third one? Entertain. Entertain. But going forward, and I want to look at Nigeria, you know, specifically. We know that we're in the digital age now. Radio has gone beyond just transmitter and signal and FM dial to podcasting and online space, which is another big argument. I'm happy you're in the house to shed your take on this one. Where do you think radio is it dying? Is the medium still going to be viable?
10 years from now, radio will still be operational. We've had the likes of Last FM, a lot of internet radio stations, you know, Spotify, TuneIn. You know, there's so many of them that are out and about there. That may be the future of radio, but 10 years from now, I think radio will still be operational. I'm not so sure.
Operational on the dial space, on the or the online space, or is it because there's this argument about electricity power, to talk about Nigeria specifically, but about some African communities where, you know, with that battery you can get your information, you don't need a TV, so radio will always be there. You look at cities like Lagos, there's traffic, so what do you do when you're driving?
You listen to the radio.
To the radio.
Yes, I think in Nigeria, I mean, in our part of the world, radio will still continue to play a part. And it does, because people who cannot afford a TV can easily afford a radio set, even if it's handheld or whatever it is. I mean, even on your phones now, the radios are incorporated into phones. So people have the earpiece, bam, and they listen to radio. So I think until, you know, it gets to a point where we have to play catch up, especially when it comes to digital radio. I mean, they're talking about switching to digital at some point, where analog will be phased out. So I think we're going to get to a point where we're going to have to embrace all of that, and we're going to have to, like, evolve and move with the times. I mean, internet radio, I know I have a couple of friends who are running internet radio stations, and I think that is the future. Okay. I mean, you will not need the big spaces, and even for TV. And the huge transmitters. Even for TV, I mean, there are certain TV stations that are not getting the numbers that they used to get. And when you have online TV stations now offering all kinds of things and giving all the terrestrial TV stations a run for their money.
Yeah, but just before we go, I'm curious to ask, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you're, you know, driving to work, you're getting your cup of tea, you're just at work or doing something, you're listening to Smooth FM, which is your station, you know, and Genie comes out. This is Smooth FM 98.1, the Genie on the Casbah. You're like, why would you call yourself the Genie? I've always thought, I think it's now I can ask that question. I'm free to ask. Okay. Where did you get the name from?
The name came up in 1989.
Wow. When you started?
When I started. Now, what happened was I was on holiday with my family, my mom and my siblings in Abuja. They just opened the Nikon Noga Hilton Hotel at the time. And we were supposed to start it, and I got there late. So all the other presenters had been given programs to present, and I was still looking forward to what was I going to do. So when I got there, they said there was a meeting, and I kept on checking different rooms to find out where the meeting was being held. And the last door I opened, I just poked my head through, and I saw that the meeting was going through, and the program director goes, there he is, popping his head out like a genie out of the bottle. And everyone just started calling me the genie out of the bottle, and then after they showed it to the Genie, and that's how it started. All right,
so going forward for you, still going to be in radio? Still going to have Genie on the radio dials?
Yes, you know.
How long are you going to keep doing it?
You never retire on radio, do you? You never retire when it comes to radio.
I think I might be following you back to the radio studios. Okay, not taking.
Yeah, I'll probably take your space.
All right, so going forward for the Genie.
I think one of my biggest dreams, I mean, was to own my own radio station, and I'm working towards it. I think I have a different perspective as to how radio stations should be run. I've worked, you know,
commercial or public service, like.
Yes, and I've worked in radio, not just in Nigeria, but I've worked in radio in the UK as well. So I've seen different way people do things differently, and I think also, as a radio station owner, the most important thing is you want the best. Look after your staff. Okay, that's my own take.
All right. Thank you so much, Genie. It's quite an honor.
You're welcome.
To have you on this program, Breakfast Central on News Central. Well, if you enjoyed watching this video, click here to get more of it. And don't forget to click here to subscribe.